Go into today with what just happened, the tragic event that happened yesterday in Rhode Island. I'm sure you saw it. It's all over the place. And yesterday I'm finishing up. Dan, my security says, did you just hear what happened in Rhode Island? What happened in Rhode Island? Another shooting. I said, what are you talking about? Yeah, a father, transgender father, Robert Dorgan, ID'd as RI hockey shooter who gunned down family as sick posts are revealed. He comes in, kills two family members, then accidentally, they still don't know whether he killed himself or he accidentally shot himself. One article says that he accidentally shot himself. Another article said that he killed himself. And then three others were shot and they're hospitalized. And then one of the daughters was being interviewed. Rob, do you have the interview of the daughter being interviewed? The daughter is being interviewed. I don't know if you saw this one or not. The daughter is being interviewed. And yeah, the daughter's being interviewed, and they said, what happened? And he says, my dad is, he's dealing with stuff. He's sick. Yeah, that one right there, Rob, the one to the left. This is the daughter right after when it happened. Go ahead.
Shot my family. And he's dead now. She described that shooting suspect as her father. She came out of the police department behind me here in tears after presumably being interviewed by police. My father was the shooter.
Her father was the shooter.
What happened? Shot my family. And he's dead now.
What was the reasoning? Was there a family argument?
He has mental health issues. So yes.
You want to pull up his picture, Rob? You want to pull up this picture on who the father is? Because typically, you know, Kevin, when we hear this stuff, it's a transgender, that's the father that, you know, is, you typically hear a young boy going through this. We've seen the stats that the shooters right now, mass shooters, number one is transgender, male to female. Number two is transgender, female to male. And we see common pattern. You're starting to see more of this happening. Do both sides agree that there needs to be something done about the mental health of these folks that, these transgenders?
Both sides agree on that for people 18 and younger. In fact, it's 80 or 80-20.
Both sides agree on that.
On that. Where there continues to be disagreement.
Did you say 85?
Yep,
That's
85 in some polls. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
And that's why there have been some really good policies, whether Trump executive orders or also state laws passed. And Heritage has been part of that. But where there continues to be disagreement is on what you do with adults. At Heritage, we believe that so-called transgender surgery is bad for anybody because of what you saw in Rhode Island yesterday. Not to be clear, not that everyone who has gone through that surgery would do that kind of thing. There does seem to be a mounting body of evidence that suggests a correlation between that surgery at any age, mental health issues, and increasingly, although we're running the numbers on this at Heritage, acts of violence. We have to come to grips with that as a society that, in a way that transcends left versus right, because this really is about the human condition. If we continue to get that wrong, then these conversations we're having about family policy and restoring our institutions and authenticity are going to be for naught. And
how do you address this, though? How do you address this?
You outlaw it.
You outlaw it?
Because it's bad for the human person.
So then what do you do with Caitlyn Jenner? You outlaw, you prevent her from being able to do the surgery? You prevent, you guys, your position is that you don't even allow people to do that.
It's proven to be terrible for the human person.
When was it illegal? When did it become legal?
I don't remember the year, but it obviously has, the number has intensified over the last 12 years.
Can you look it up, Rob? So is it more, and again, you're not, you know, I'm not asking you a scientist that I'm asking, hey, you know, but I wonder how much of this is the medication they put in their bodies that makes them behave this way, that there needs to be accountability for that, to say, hey, you know, this is what we can no longer.
And we like that idea too. One of the reasons is that we not only work in coalitions, but we often work toward an ultimate goal via incremental steps. In fact, sometimes people will call us radical incrementalists. We're willing to take a quarter of the enchilada if we can keep working there. So if that's the kind of thing that policymakers can agree on, left and right, Heritage would be fully supportive of that, knowing that ultimately we have an ideal position that would be much stronger than that.
There isn't a credible, what are you searching, Rob?
I searched the number of transgender committed violent acts increased or decreased in the last 10 years in the United States.
I'd want to know when it became legal
For the surgery.
for the surgery. When did it become legal to do gender reassignment surgery? There you go. Or was it like a thing that people did? There isn't a single 1 year in jump again, early 1900, not clearly illegal, but legally uncertain in early 20, and many doctors and lawyers weren't sure whether the surgery was lawful, but it involved altering healthy anatomy. Some feared it could be result as an assault under criminal law because of the uncertain. Americans who wanted surgery often went overseas. An famous example is Christine Jorgensen, an American who underwent surgery in Denmark starting in 1951-52. It was banned nationwide. Interesting. So what would happen if they just said, period, you can't do it in America, full stop?
We'd become a better society because we would have fewer Americans. I mean this in sincere charity toward people suffering from gender dysphoria. We wouldn't be using physicians' organizations, the financial incentive that some physicians have, which is just real. We wouldn't be using federal policy to tell our fellow Americans, each of whom we love, as sincerely as we love our wives and our children, that that's a good thing. A healthy society tells the hard truths in charity, even when it really does hurt. And in this case, not just because of what seems to be data pointing toward a correlation between having the surgery and acts of violence. More research needs to be done, to be clear. We know that even if those weren't happening, it's bad for the human person because social scientists have shown there is a strong correlation between that surgery and mental illness.
Did you see the $2 million lawsuit 2 weeks ago, which I think it's great?
It's helping
progress.
change policy.
Oh, no question about it, because I'm sure a lot of lawyers, when they saw that, they said, okay, hey, if your kid was forced to go through this, call us. We'd love to. The transitional wins $2 million against New York docs who pushed up. I have a feeling we're going to see a ton of these stories over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, which is great. Doctors are going to be like, you know what? I just don't want to touch it. Nope, I'm not going to, I don't want to be caught up in this lawsuit. When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort, function, and luxury, we had the choice to make it fast. We had the choice to make it cheap. We chose neither. Instead, we chose Tuscany, Italy. We chose true Italian craftsmanship, each pair touched by 50 skilled hands. We chose patience, spending 2 years perfecting every detail, and we chose the finest quality at every step. Introducing the Future Looks Bright collection. Not rushed, not disposable, not ordinary. Rather, intentional, luxurious, timeless. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.